If y'all are subscribed to my live stream channel, which is called Rain in Real Time, I briefly talked about this in my most recent live stream when I was having my Freestyle Friday, which was on April 30th. And this right here shows another us versus them thing, where if you are of a certain complexion, you can definitely get away with a lot, even if your life ends up getting taken in the end. So basically, what you have is a situation where this guy named Isaac Barnes, who is right here in this picture, he's 32 years old. He's the same age as me. Doesn't look it. He basically was involved in a 13-hour standoff at his North Carolina home, or at a North Carolina home that was inhabited by his parents. This guy killed both of his parents, as far as we know, and then killed two deputies, and then he killed himself. Now, mind you, this took them, it was a 13-hour standoff. They ended up bringing in what looks like a military tank. It was not a military tank, but it almost looks like one for this guy. Now, when Michael Johnson was in the situation he was in back in 2016, it didn't take them 13 hours to get him up out of there. They sent some kind of robotic bomb in there, exploded, it blew him up, and we never heard of this device before, and we have yet to see it ever again. And mind you, that was going on 5 years ago. They claim that this is something that they've been had, but we never knew what it looked like, never seen it before. And we have not seen it ever since they used it on him. Now, the way that this guy was taken out was not by their hands, but by his own. He killed himself after he did most of the killing. Now, I did a recent video about a standoff that lasted about 5 hours in Jersey City, New Jersey. Now, that guy was still taken in alive. And you don't have to ask me what his complexion was. It was the same as this guy's. Probably not as pale, but, you know, same thing. I want to know what the Blue Lives Matter crew has to say about this, if they even said anything at all. And they're probably going to try to bury this because this happened in the same state as where Andrew Brown Jr., who was shot 4 times in the arms and the fatal blow to the back of the head, was killed, murdered. In the same state. Days apart. But they're going to bury this story, and they're going to keep the Andrew Brown Jr. one alive, but in order to push a narrative to try to help those pigs who did that to him try to get off, or have or suffer as little consequence as possible. And with this guy, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to throw out there, if they haven't done so already, the mental illness thing. 4 people were shot and killed, including 2 North Carolina sheriff deputies, during a welfare check at a home that turned into a 13-hour standoff. Deputies responded to the home in Boone, about 100 miles northwest of Charlotte, around 9:44 a.m. on Wednesday, after the homeowner's employer reported that the person had not reported to work or responded to phone calls, the Watauga County Sheriff's Office said. The 2 slain deputies, Sergeant Chris Ward, age 36, and K-9 deputy Logan Fox, age 25, were shot upon entering the home, the sheriff's office said. Isaac Alton Barnes, age 32, was identified by the sheriff's office as the man who shot and killed both deputies. Barnes also allegedly killed 2 civilians inside the home, Michelle Annette Ligon, age 61, and George Wyatt Ligon, age 58, the sheriff's office said. They were identified by officials as the suspect's mother and stepfather. Barnes died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, Watauga County Sheriff Lynn Hageman told WSOC. And here's the other part of the privilege that many people don't address. They are allowed, if they want to, or if they, feeling a little froggy, they're allowed to take themselves out even after a 13-hour standoff. They're not going to have people just bust in and go after them. This, mind you, like I told you, this was a 13-hour standoff. with one person, not several, one. If they wanted to go in there and get him, mind you, his step parents, his mother and his stepdad are already dead. So it was no one else, as far as they knew, was in the house. He was the only one. If they wanted to go in there and get him, they could have gotten him. It didn't have to last 13 hours, but literally it did. It took up over half a day, was gone. And then can you imagine the detours those people had to take who was driving in that direction to maybe get home? They probably stuck there because of him. A Boone officer was hit by gunfire while trying to rescue the sheriff's officers, but wasn't hurt thanks to his protective equipment, the sheriff's office said. The suspect ambushed the officers, Hageman told WSOC. He was waiting for the officers and we had an issue with him over the weekend, Hageman said of the suspect. We'd gotten calls from concerned folks that know him for us to be careful. The standoff ended shortly before 11 p.m., according to the sheriff's office. Hageman said of losing 2 deputies, "This is just unreal. I can't put it into words." Logan had been with the Watauga County Sheriff's Office for 2 years and was the handler for the office's K-9 Raven. He had previously worked for the Ashe County, North Carolina Sheriff's Office. Ward had worked for the Watauga County Sheriff's Office for 8 years and was married with 2 children ages 19 and 5. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper offered his condolences in a statement on Twitter, which reads, "We grieve for the Sergeant Chris Ward, K-9 Deputy Logan Fox, and the entire Watauga County law enforcement community today after these tragic deaths in the line of duty. These horrific shootings that claim the lives and loved ones show the ever-present danger law enforcement can encounter in the line of duty. I have talked with Sheriff Lynn Hageman to offer condolences and additional assistance." Like I said in the beginning of this video before I read this article, they are going to do their best to bury this story. Because when this story first came out, we knew of the suspect's name, but they didn't have a picture. They didn't plaster his picture out there for the world to see until a little bit later. Probably like a day later, because the article I'm reading from was posted on April 29th and I'm recording this on May 1st. And I want to say that I'm not sure exactly. Let me see. I think they did say, they said what time the shooting actually happened. They said 9:44. Can you imagine? They said they were out there since 9:44 a.m. And the standoff did not end until around 11 p.m. That's literally the entire day gone. Remember, it's only 24 hours in a day. That's crazy. For some people, that's a work shift. For some people. And they got to deal with him. But watch. I'm waiting for the mental illness thing to come through. I'm almost expecting it. But see, now he's deceased, so they don't even have to claim he had a mental illness. Although they probably would, just to give him a little send-off gift. We won't say that you were, this type of person. We'll say that you had this, so, even in death, you can skate on by. But I've always said, I feel like people who have these type of standoffs like this have terroristic capabilities. I mean, to do that for 13 hours. But the thing is, like I said, it wasn't like he was by himself. I mean, with other people, he was by himself the entire time doing this. No help, no accomplices. And again, he was allowed to take his own life. And even if he didn't take his life, something tells me they would have took him in alive. But that will yet to remain to be seen because he's no longer here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments.